Yo, what's going on, everybody? What's going on, family? This is your boy Josh, and you are tuning in to the podcast Just a Kid from Gary, a podcast that inspires others around the globe to achieve their dreams and then make them a reality. And in this podcast, we highlight individuals that grew up in Gary or cities like Gary, and now we're doing amazing things within their community. And today, I got a special episode for you guys. I got someone that literally is doing exactly that, changing their community. And doing some amazing things. He's a philanthropist, a community developer, a speaker, a motivational speaker, a mentor, and he's also a Ball State graduate. That's how we initially connected, and also is killing the game within construction management. I would like to introduce you guys to my guy, Adrian Russell. How you doing, my man?
Doing good. Happy to be here, man.
That's fantastic, man. That's fantastic. I'm happy that you're here, man. This has been something that's been in the pipelines for us, brother. We just met maybe two weeks ago and kind of just sat down. We were able to kind of just chat about some of the most amazing things that could happen from this conversation and then moving forward. And I'm excited about this. So if you don't mind doing me the favor and my audience and giving the bio, like how did you get here? What's your story, man?
That's funny, man. I mean, I'm not from Gary, but I'm from here in Indianapolis.
Yeah.
I grew up just outside of downtown Indianapolis, come from a huge family, 7 brothers and sisters to the same 2 parents, growing up on the inner city, similar to you. Really, man, I don't know how I got here, to be honest with you. I mean, really just a lot of love, a lot of looking out from those, that came before me, had 2 good parents, had a good family, had a good support system that really helped just so into my life. Went to school around here in Indianapolis, urban schools, public schools, ended up going to Ball State. One thing led to another. I was connected with some really good mentors in my life or what have you. Before you know it, I was graduating Ball State, going into construction, and I've been in it for 10 years now, man. And
wow.
I mean, things have really just been unbelievable, and I can say that I'm blessed and I'm fortunate to be here. But I'm only here because of the sacrifices of others.
Yeah.
Straight up.
Yeah. I think that one big thing to have you on this podcast is you had mentioned you're from Indianapolis, but I think that the parallels are so good to be an example of what you're doing and how people back in the city of Gary, Indianapolis, St. Louis, no matter where, are able to take those as examples and lead forward.
Right.
I looked at, I was doing some research and I looked at some of the projects and things that you had been working on. And one thing that I wanted to first start off and just jump right into it, tell me about the project of, was it Mama's Kitchen?
Mm-hmm.
Tell me about that, man. That was a very, just to give the audience a look into what I've seen, I was scrolling on social media on his Facebook, and he had a video there and they were doing this transformation to this restaurant. Mm-hmm. And I mean, you can go into the details, but I thought that, man, that example, I want to be able to take that and show people how we could do that in other places. I mean, just one project could lead to many changes.
Appreciate that, man. I mean, so, it was following the George Floyd fallout. And, me being an African-American man, I mean, that touched so many of us. And even outside of our community, it touched so many of us. So, one day I just pulled some of my guys aside, just called them on the phone, man. At first asked them how they were doing. And, all of us, we were feeling the impact of, that fallout. But, we decided we have to do something to help our own people. We have to do something just to bring some type of joy to uplift those that are hurting in our community. And, me being a project manager, some of those guys that you saw in that video, they're all associated with construction, building, design, some are in finance. So we all, just came together and we actually just chose a building, a Black-owned business, as a matter of fact, that we could just, do something nice for them. One thing led to another where we got in contact with the owner of Mama's Kitchen, a woman by the name of Mona Lisa. And, she's just a beautiful woman, works hard, gives her all into her business to, just be a service to that community on East 25th Street here in Indy. So we just said, what, free of charge, we're going to put our resources together and we're going to, beautify this building. We're going to beautify her restaurant, just give it a total facelift. And, I'm just thankful, man, that these guys, they were all on board, man. No complaining, no questions asked, guys pitching in money or what have you. in a week's time, we had that plan underway, and we showed up on a Saturday morning, 7 a.m., and it was just amazing to see. I mean, even now I'm getting goosebumps just thinking about it. It was amazing, man, when you know that you're actually doing something and seeing, passerby stop by, honking their horn or just saying, hey, you guys are doing a great thing. It was just incredible to be a part of. And all of those guys you saw in that video, everyone just a positive spirit, working together, painting, pulling weeds, cutting grass, picking up trash, changing signage. I mean, everything you saw in that video, it was just the work of guys that just wanted to make a difference in the community, and all of us being black men, and to improve that business. And all we've gotten is just great reviews. And that business, they've seen the fruits of that labor to where business has been booming since then because it generated so much attention. And I don't say that to boast or brag, but all of us, I mean, we're just humbled that we had that experience to be able to do such a thing.
Man,
want to do more of it.
Good for you guys, man. I literally was, man, I was shocked, to be honest, initially. And then I was like, how did they pull the resources together? And if you don't mind explaining that, like what did it take to pull those resources together in order to do that? I did see even a video where was paint donated to that project? Yep.
Man, I mean, that's the thing, man. I think that it was really a learning experience.
Okay.
Because, I mean, all of us, we have far more that we bring to the table than what we may realize. I just looked at it just as any project. I said, well, I'm in construction. I mean, I know what it takes to do any construction project. So first I just made a materials list. And I said, we'll probably need X gallons of paint. I know all the painting materials that we would need. So I thought, you know what? I'm just going to call one of my painting contractors and tell them what we want to do. That's exactly what I did. It was actually the Friday night before. I told you this happened pretty quickly, man. It was a Thursday night before. It was a Thursday evening leading up to that Saturday. And one of my painting contractors, I gave him a call. I told him exactly what we want to do. He said, I'll check back with you first thing in the morning. 6 a.m. in the morning, he sent me a text message. He said, how much paint do you think you would need? Then I said, can you just give me a call? We got on the phone. And he said, you know what? Let me call Sherwin-Williams. He said, I think I can get all this donated for you.
Really?
I said, man, I mean, if you can do that.
Absolutely.
Yeah. Man, by midday, we were back on the phone, and he told me that, he had communicated to Sherwin-Williams here in Indianapolis, one of the local stores, exactly what we wanted to do. And he said, hey, we've got everything donated. And he said, before the day's out, I can drop it off to you. I didn't have to go pick it up. So he said, what's your address? I gave him my address. He sent one of his guys. They dropped off 5 gallons of paint.
Wow.
All the painting supplies, everything you saw in that, it was all dropped off and delivered to us. That simple. And what that told us, man, is that, listen, there's a lot more people that are standing by that want to help us help ourselves if we just really put our minds out there and not limit ourselves to just say, hey, I have some skills, I have resources, I have a network around me. Who in this network is able to contribute to what it is that I want to do?
That's the wonderful thing. People want to help people that are doing things.
Absolutely.
That's such the truth. Once you just start doing that, and that's a great example of that, man. Like literally just jumping out there, cold, whatever, just say, hey, I'm going to do it. And like you said, you cold called this guy. You didn't have anything planned. You just got on the phone, told him what you're trying to do. And I think that's amazing. Do you see that eroding or snowballing into something bigger?
Absolutely.
Because I would personally like to see something bigger than that.
I mean, me and you, we need to work on something together.
Bet. Bet.
I mean, no, it absolutely. I mean, we have some, I don't want to let the cat out of the bag now, but we have some amazing things that are shaping up right now. That experience, like I said, it really just galvanized all of us. And now, I mean, you do something like that, and you're of the mind, man, there's nothing we can't do. There's nothing we can't do. What's the next thing? So, I mean, any businesses out there that's looking for an overhaul, I mean, you have an opportunity now to reach out to us. But definitely we see it leading to some more things for sure.
Yeah, I definitely think that even figuring out a blueprint for that, and then finding out ways that to implement that into like, a larger scale or a smaller scale, or just starting off with a similar business like that. And that leads me to this next question. How important to you is Black businesses?
extremely important. I mean, you can't overstate the importance of black businesses. Number one, within our own community, and saying that we need representation amongst our own. When you have a black-owned business, number one, you're able to keep that dollar, if you will. You're able to keep that within your community. You're able to better retain that dollar, and you can do more with the dollar. I mean, economic empowerment. You're able to deliver the needs that are needed within that community. In other words, me being a black man, say I had a business, I can recognize what the next black man or what would probably appeal to him, what his needs are. There's so many reasons why supporting our own is just of paramount importance. I mean, you can't overstate it. End of the day, I mean, we all need one another to make it as well. We all need one another to make it. And any of us that call ourselves entrepreneurs, any of us that are ambitious, we know how hard it is to be in this black skin.
Oh, yeah.
And when you want to do something, so you definitely want to see your brothers and sisters, you know, lending a hand and helping you make it.
Yeah. That, you know, building black businesses probably is the most important thing, like you said, for our community. And I was going to piggyback on this. You know, it's just not the most important thing, but it's our way out.
Absolutely.
You mentioned the economics, you know, building that is the way that we're going to get out of our current situation. That is, you know, people are, struggling for employment opportunities.
Right.
Hey, if we build those jobs, we can employ our own. You know, people are struggling how they're going to retire. You build businesses, right? You can have a nice pension, you can retire, whatever, you know. But those are very, very important, and you know that is something that, you know, our community lacks. Why do you think our community lack the education or the knowledge of how to build businesses, or how important it is to invest in black businesses?
Man, that's a loaded question.
Yeah.
I'm gonna go a different path. I'm not gonna say, you know, just a popular low hanging fruit response, because I'll say this. I mean, we can always point the finger out, but at some level, at some point, we have to also point the finger at ourselves, and saying that we keep too many secrets. We keep too many secrets. I mean, you may know how to start a business. You may know how to get funding or get, you know, support for that business. You may know how to get set up with the state, how to get insurance, how to, you know, get your taxes and everything set up. And as soon as you make it, you don't want to share that secret with me because you don't want me to rival you.
Interesting.
We keep too many secrets. I mean, there's some within our community where they understand down to a T how to do everything it is that we want to do. In other communities, this is shared knowledge. It's shared intel.
It sure is.
But for whatever reason, too often in the black community, we don't want to help one another. We don't want to show one another how it is that I got here, how I made it over. We just want you to, I mean, I would like for you to think that, you know, I'm just a genius. I was born with this. I don't want to tell you where I got this information from.
That is true, man.
So, I mean, I don't know, man. We have to, I mean, it's all about love. It's all about love. And that word is so overused, man. But we have to love one another. If you love me and if I love you, end of the day, I've got to see you make it.
Bingo.
I've got to see you make it.
When you were talking, it reminded me of a guy that I know. I won't mention his name, but back in my city, he's building currently a very successful business. It's a restaurant business. Crazy thing about it is I started hearing about it maybe about a couple years back.
Okay.
And that's in school I was hearing about it. That's how good this man's running his business, or it's just grabbing a lot of attention. One of the guys that I've had even on this podcast and even talk with, he was like, man, you know, I tried to sit down with this guy. I was like, hey, you've built a successful business. Let's get you on a podcast. Let's talk about it so you can help others. You know what I'm saying? Literally, he said the exact same thing that you had just said our problem is. He was like, man, honestly, I don't want to give out my secrets. I was like, what?
Yeah.
Now here's the truth. Here's the truth. The secrets that he understands is public, but it matters when somebody is able to see a guy that looks just like you, or a girl that's able to look at somebody that looks just like you, saying this information. Because in your head you go, okay, like if there's a white person or a Hispanic, Asian, whoever talking about their very successful business, you're going, oh, okay, that's cool, you know. But how does that apply to me?
Yep.
But when you're able to see someone that looks exactly like you, you go, okay, this makes sense. This
Yeah.
is tangible.
Yeah.
And I think that's the problem. And I agree, man. Secrets within our community as far as how to build businesses,
Right.
how to develop, those are stunt not growth. What are some other things in your opinion are stunt not growth as far as, black investing in black business and making and producing black businesses?
Another thing, I mean, there's a lack of businesses to invest in, if you understand what I'm saying.
Yeah. Wow.
Here's exactly what I mean. How many individuals within our generation, say within your network or friends that you may know, they have amazing ideas. And, that is a potential Forbes company. That is a potential, incredible company that could employ 25, 30, 40, 50, 100 people.
Mm-hmm.
But they have no idea how to do anything with that idea. So that's a business that actually never started, for someone never to believe in, for someone never to invest in.
That's true.
And saying that, some of it also has to do with the way that we raise our children and the way that we were raised. If you think about this, and I don't know about, your household, but for me and so many of my friends, and we've discussed this before, where when we were kids, coming up, with two African-American parents, and don't get me wrong, man, my parents were the best parents in the world, still are. But coming up, we in no way were involved with any business matters within the home.
That's true.
We weren't taught how to pay bills. We weren't taught how to, juggle the finances or what have you. All of that was top secret information.
That's true.
And if you ever ask any question or anything like that, your parents would say that's grown folks' business.
That's right.
You get what I'm saying?
Stay in a child's place.
Stay in a child's place. So we got to college, and once you actually had to, go to the loans office and start, talking about loans and things like that, you had no idea.
No clue.
I mean, come on, man. You know what I'm talking about.
Man.
You had no idea what it is those people were talking about. They're using terms, and they're talking about interest, and all these things they're talking about fish out of water. We don't know anything.
And you're shaking your head like you know what you're talking about, but low key you're scared.
Scared? Exactly.
Yes.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let me
Right.
say some other
Right.
words, right?
Exactly. Yeah. No, man. Yeah. You could finish that for me.
Yeah.
But, and the horrible thing about that, what's so sad about that is you're just signing your name because you feel like a fool. And that's another thing, man, as black men, that pride kind of kicks in.
It sure does.
That pride kicks
sure
in.
does.
And the last thing you want to do is let that individual know
You don't know what
that you don't know what they're talking about. Yeah. So you just shake your head, like you said, you sign your name away, and 10 years later, you're paying off buku student loans, and you still don't understand. Think about that, man. I mean, so when we're 18, 19, 20, where some of our, Caucasian counterparts, maybe Hispanic counterparts, Asian Americans, some of our brothers and sisters from, outside races, they're already 20 miles ahead of us as far as understanding business.
And finances.
The principles of business. We're learning that at 21, 22, 23, trying to figure it out, where they were introduced to it at 8 and 9 years old.
Yeah.
We have to change that. I feel like if we actually began to expose our children to just money and how to handle money, how to, invest money, how to save money, and all the things that, we just do on a daily basis just to make ends meet week to week, it will put them so much further ahead to where when they're our age, business is not something that's uncomfortable for them. Like, think about how many people do you know where they're actually terrified at even the thought of starting a business.
Yes, tons, bro.
But I have white friends where they had 2 or 3 businesses when they're 14 years old.
Yes.
They had 2 or 3 of them.
Yeah.
And we're 30 years old, scared to just set a business up.
Yeah.
Some of that
just
is
even set, like you
exactly
just
right.
To
Not to do business,
just to set it
right,
up.
exactly.
Yeah.
To just set a business up. Some of it is just it's for whatever reason it's like the untouchable in our community to where if we actually begin to make our children comfortable with those things when they're our age, sky's the limit.
It's a generational curse,
Right.
I think that because when you were talking about the finances, and even like for me, I remember trying to get on the phone call and try to explain to my parents and trying to like get some clarity. They were even like confused.
Yep.
So it's even to the point where like kids or just students that are in college or just people in general, they know their parents don't know.
Right.
They know that they mismanage,
Right. Exactly.
funds
Yep.
and
Exactly.
finances. So it's like, man, like we can't really rely on anybody.
Yep.
So we just got to navigate through this thing.
Right.
And once, like you said, 10 years later, we're paying off this ugly amount of debt. But I
Still
agree,
don't understand
man,
why.
we have to start teaching about finance. We have to teach about money. And you know what I think? I think it is the pride of Black people that allows us to not really educate our youth about money, because deep down, I think we still have this, and maybe not now, but I believe that there's still this fear that we don't even understand it ourselves.
Straight up.
Like we don't fully get our head. So how can we really truly teach it? It's just like I've seen so many of these memes and videos where the parent is trying to help the child with homework.
Yeah.
Right.
The
And
virtual learning.
Yeah. And they're so frustrated. They're going, you don't know what this is? And it's like you're yelling at them because you don't really know what it is.
Exactly.
And it's frustrating because you think that in school they should, in that little small period of time, they should learn everything that they need to know. But really it's you. And so I think that's also just a problem that we're always, going after. But man, that's huge, man.
Yeah, man.
That's like that portion right there. We don't understand
Right.
finances. That's wow.
If you don't understand finances, how could you ever start a business?
Wow.
And if you never start the business, how can someone believe in the business to invest in it?
Yeah. Yeah. I mean, if you really go into it, it's literally a ripple effect. One problem leads to the bigger problem, obviously, but it all has this like domino effect. So you were talking about, and you were highlighting some of the solutions behind that, in your opinion. And I know you're doing a lot of like great things as far as like working with the youth. Mm-hmm. I've seen you, which was astounding, talking with the youth about even what you do, but kind of explain more ways that you have done or you may understand, ways that we can educate, if we're trying to really change this narrative.
I mean, simply just ask yourself, who do I know? Who do I know and who am I in contact with? I mean, sometimes I think that we prevent ourselves from doing because we imagine everything to have to be so big and so grand and so formalized, to where it doesn't have to be all of that. Mm-hmm. I mean, it can just simply be, I know these guys or my niece or my nephew or the neighborhood kids or what have you, just, starting a conversation with them. And the thing with kids, they'll latch on quickly. Mm-hmm. They'll latch on quickly. If they see that you actually care about them and, you have some form of rapport with their parent or what have you, and they can look up to you, man, they'll latch onto your every word. Mm-hmm. They'll latch onto your every word. So for me, that's really where it started. And even now, I just challenge myself when I'm in contact, especially with young Black men, young Black boys, 8, 9, 10 years old. I challenge myself to just start a conversation up with them, and any type of nugget of wisdom or something I can give them, I give it to them. Mm-hmm. And that's just, from establishing a common ground. If they're into sports, I ask them, who's your favorite basketball player? Who's your favorite NFL player? And from there, the conversation can just go anywhere you want to take it. Mm-hmm. And then you can ask them, what do you like to do? What are you interested in? A lot of times they say, well, I like to draw or I like to this. Then you ask them, hey, do you like building? Do you like buildings? Yeah. Have you ever thought about being an architect? Mm-hmm. No. Do you know what an architect does? No. That's your chance right there to introduce to them a world that they did not even know existed.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. So it's all about just asking questions.
It's just all about asking questions and just being willing to speak.
Yeah. Yeah. That's a hard thing for me. I've always, not always, but if I'm not placed in that setting, how do I create those conversations, and I know a lot of people struggle with that. I was listening to one guy, he's a doctor, Dr. Ray Hagen. He was talking about how he's seen a young man sagging his pants, and it wasn't that he was just trying to like condemn him, but he was just saying he was really trying to understand it. And I'm only using this example to get to this next point the point that you were making is that instead of like trying to criticize or come down on young people, because we always do this. I mean, excuse me. I understand that older generations do it to us, and then we tend to like try to do that to the younger generations. Mm-hmm. We try to go, oh, this is what they did to us. They criticize us because they criticize millennials like crazy, saying we're the problem. And then we're just gonna keep doing it. So what I'm trying to do is get to this point where we stop it. But he goes, instead of like criticizing, like, hey man, young man, pull up your pants or whatever, he said, hey, quick question, man. Who taught you to do that? Who taught you how to do that? He's like, what? He's like, your parents. Like, who taught you how to do that? And he thought about it. And he's like, well, no one really. I've been looking. I mean, I didn't get it from myself. He realized he didn't get it from himself.
Right.
He realized that it was an external thing that he's seen. It was like, I'm not really being me. Like, I'm just doing something because. So what you have done, and even in your breakdown, questioning. Okay, do you know what architecture is? No, I've never heard of it. Do you know what construction? No, I never heard of it. You see that building right there? Yeah.
Right.
How do you think that got assembled? I have no clue. Boom, that seed. You be able to plant that seed, and I think that's phenomenal. That's the way to do it.
I like that term seed, and that's literally the way I think of it. I always think, just going out, starting a garden where you can just throw seeds down. And if I just throw X number of seeds down, something's gonna sprout up from one of these seeds. That's literally how I think.
Literally just, this is a beautiful thing about seeds, because I realized something. There was something that somebody said to me when I was younger that like came up when I was older, and then I got the example, or I got the idea that this person was sowing into me. Didn't even know it. And once the right water and sunlight and all the right nutrients hit that seed, growth.
Yeah, man. Yeah. We have no shortage of opportunities, man.
Yeah.
I mean, there's young black men, young black women, the youth that are coming up after us. We have contact with so many of them. Ask yourself, what am I doing?
Yeah. I'm gonna switch it up a little bit, and take this in a direction that where we're facing today.
Okay.
I mean, a lot of it, obviously, businesses. We could talk about that all day,
Right?
And how to build and how to do that. But I want to switch this up a little bit and talk about some things that we're dealing with today. And I want to ask you. I hear a lot of conversation about voting. I'm hearing a lot of conversation about our current political things of that sort, which I personally don't pay a lot of attention to.
Okay.
It's one of those things where I stay away from because I want to always think with a clear mind.
Right.
And I don't want social programming to happen.
Understandable.
But what I'm referring to is this, we talk about how important it is to vote, and we could look at history and see, okay, what changes have been made, and we can criticize it and everything. But I just want to get your opinion or thoughts on where we are currently and how important all that is to you.
It's very important, but I like that you mentioned social programming. It's also important to get an understanding. There's a verse in the Bible that says, in all thy getting, to get an understanding.
Yeah.
And saying that, don't just go out and do what the next man told you to do, because the next man may want you to do what's beneficial for him. But it's important that you educate yourself on whatever it is that you're setting out to do, to where you understand the significance of it. And then you also are able to make a decision that is personal to you and that is beneficial to you. I could go a lot of directions, but
man, you got the platform. Do it, man. Let's talk.
I mean, there's a lot going on right now where, it's vote. We got to vote. We must vote. And let's be honest, a lot of that messaging is aimed at our community.
Yes.
And that sounds good. Don't get me wrong. I mean, we know the plight of those that, sacrifice their lives to give us this right to be able to vote, make your voice heard, and to be heard. But that messaging that's directed to our community, there's an underlying message in the message. It's not just go vote, it's go vote Democrat. And I'm not going to say which party I affiliate with now. It's not important.
Yes.
That's not important at all.
It never was.
But that in of itself is a form of oppression.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, it is.
It is.
There's an underlying message to where there's an expectation that when this black skin goes vote where you guys historically vote. And that should be in affiliation with the Democratic Party. I wonder if African Americans were a little more, liberal, no pun intended, as far as how they exercise their vote, if you would see that same aggressive messaging. You understand what I'm saying? Once again, this is no, condemnation or anything of the Democratic Party itself. it has nothing to do with the party itself per se, but more so, it's important that we as African Americans, that we as, two black men sitting here, that we understand, yes, I'm going to exercise my rights, but I also need to exercise my rights.
Yes.
For me, myself, and my family, and no one else.
I don't talk too much about how I feel, but because I honestly just use a lot of logic in my life, to be honest. But I'll tell you, like, currently the feeling that I'm having, which is leading me to my connecting really deep to my intuition, is that, we're being forced into a direction.
Mm-hmm.
I think as black people, we're being forced into a direction. For example, I received these text messages that says, "Hey, it's Amy. Hey, it's Sarah, whatever. Are you voting Democrat or something with Democrat?" And in my mind, I was asking myself, how many white people are receiving this message? Because I really believe that there's this social programming that's happening, and it's forming around this the concept of voting Democrat, voting ignorantly, because everybody's saying go vote, but nobody's saying do research.
Exactly.
And that is triggering because,
Exactly.
And you're so right, man. When we hear go vote, nobody's telling white people to go vote. I swear to you, that's not their, like, okay, this is how you know. In the debate, and I like to look at things with the third eye, the pineal gland. That I study that so much because it's your clearest eye. And I was looking at the conversation Trump and Joe Biden was having, well, the debate, excuse me. And not one time did Trump say, go vote. Trump never said, go vote. He never, in his, if I'm correct, he never was very direct. Joe Biden, though, every single time. And that's why it's important for the American people to go vote. You have to. And it's just going, guys, honestly, like, I feel like we're being played.
I'm going to say it again. And I mean, I won't say too much more on it, but I'll just ask. I mean, you hit it on the head. Who do you think that message is aimed towards?
Yeah. And there has to be something underlining. If there's so much this force, I just don't like having blinders on to the point where I'm just doing things based off of
Exactly.
emotion or
Exactly.
because I know my brother and my sister's doing it. So yeah, man, that I definitely want to get your
Oh, no problem
input
at all.
on that, man. That's it's something it's current, it's happening. It's it's one of those social things that could split the room.
Right. Absolutely.
Especially if a bunch of black people in the room, that could definitely split the room.
Right. And once again, I mean, I'm not on this podcast to affiliate with either party.
Same.
But I mean, but at the same time, this is a historical struggle that we see every 4 years at election time. And I just think that more than just going out and voting, we need to first educate ourselves.
Bingo. You are doing some phenomenal things, like I said, within your community. Mm-hmm. One thing that I like that you're doing is you're highlighting people within our field. And this is probably going to be our last portion of this conversation, mm-hmm. but it's to really dive into what we love. Mm-hmm. I love architecture. I love design. Mm-hmm. I know when we had our first initial conversation, it was powerful, man. It was impactful,
Yeah. Still thinking about the Egyptians, man.
Yeah, man. Yeah, let's just dive in that a little bit with this concept of, as designers, as people within the design world, our duty as designers and what we're to do, or what you feel like that is. What is our obligation to the design world?
I mean, with designing, building is another part of that. Design, build, design. Mm-hmm. I mean, they're both so closely associated. I feel like it should be a lifestyle.
Yeah.
It should be a lifestyle. I mean, you're a designer. You're in urban planning. I just feel that everything that you see, everything you come in contact with, every circumstance, every group of people that you come in contact with, in some kind of way, that discipline should manifest itself mm-hmm. in every way. Mm-hmm. Same with me. I'm a builder. I also went to school for design. I just feel that should manifest itself to where if I'm a builder, it's in my blood, it's in my genes.
Yeah.
I literally believe it's in my DNA. It's in my everyday makeup. So I should just have a craving to just want to build, not necessarily physical structures. Should not just be limited to brick and mortar, but my life, my family, my prosperity, my legacy, young men, young women, the youth. I mean, whatever it is, I just want to build to where I'm using that discipline of what it takes to, you know, erect this room that we're sitting in, this building that we're sitting in. I know what it takes to put that together. I know the disciplines that goes into, you know, one thing after another, but then I should be able to take that same discipline and apply it to my life.
The beauty of design, and that's really what made me fall in love with it, was because I was able to see the parallels of building communities, building wealth, building this, building that. I looked at, and I tell so many times the story of how I got into it is where I really seen the parallels of what happened to a situation like Pruitt-Igoe in St. Louis and the same situation that happened to Gary.
Yeah.
And then I was like, wait a minute. If we can come up with a plan to rebuild, then can we rebuild here in economics and business and my personal life and this and this and this and this and no. So and that's why I am an advocate for architecture, for design, because I think that especially when Black people get into it, we'll instantly see all of the connects that we can make to reconstruct our community. It's almost like it becomes so obvious.
Everything we touch, it's the flavor. You get what I'm saying?
Oh yeah.
There's just a flavor. Everything that Blacks touch, there's just a soul that goes into it to where it just takes on a whole nother life, a whole nother existence. I mean, I'm thinking about when I was younger, man, and I mean, it used to kind of scare me, but I would sit in interviews, whether it be for an internship or when I was younger as a professional, and, you know, the individual sitting across the desk, obviously, in no case did they ever look like me, but they would ask a question, and it always felt like there was a skepticism around the question. And that question is, do you love construction? Do you love construction? And it always, I could just feel a skepticism around that question. And granted, you know, I didn't grow up on a construction job site. My father, he didn't own a construction company. My grandfather, he didn't own a construction company. Some of the guys I went to school with, they grew up on job sites. They grew up, you know, running Bobcats and John Deere's, what have you. I didn't.
Right.
So when I was asked that question, I would always feel intimidated. And I would feel as if when I said yes, because I just want that job. So I just say yes. And I always felt kind of dirty, like one, that I was lying. And then two, I just didn't feel good enough because I could feel the skepticism around the question. Do you love construction? Now, 10 years later, I realize as a Black man, I'm going to be honest with you. I don't love construction. I am construction. I am construction.
Bro, that's crazy. That's crazy.
Straight up.
That's crazy. And when you were saying, when you kind of get into that end part, I was thinking about purpose, man. You found purpose within construction. That's why construction became you, or you became construction, excuse me, because you found that thing that connect you with it all.
It's the calling.
It's the calling.
It's in my blood.
Bingo.
It's in your blood.
It's the reason why we're doing it.
Exactly.
And that's why I love this field, man. I swear to you, bro, this is probably the best field. I advocate for it. This is the best field to get into. And it's because there's just so much to do. It's so much we can learn. You know, honestly, like, I think about it. Probably some of the greatest designers don't really fully lock into their potential until they're like 40, 50, 60 years old, because there's so much to learn. Now, there's those exceptional guys and girls that are out there in our world currently that are doing amazing things, but I realized something. They have access to resources. So if we had access to the same resources, like you said, back in the age of 14, 13, 10, 9, 8, 2, if we had the same access to those resources, if we were touching Bobcats, if we were drawing plans, if we were in our parents' offices as they're talking about architecture, like our kids are now.
Exactly.
Dog, do you understand, like, what's like, and that's why I love what's taking shape and form, is because even within our industry, I had a conversation with this guy named David Supple. He's CEO of Any Design Construction out of Boston.
Okay.
And as we were talking, I realized that this guy brought up some strong parallels to the beginning of this whole world, like construction, architecture, all of that. It was this elitist group, and all they wanted to do was control, and they wanted to be like, okay, we're powerful, we're this group, we don't really do the messy job, so we don't touch shovels, we don't touch sledgehammers, we don't touch bulldozers and things like that because we're elites. And if you're not white, if you're like non-white, then you're not a part of this group.
Right,
either.
right.
But what I realized is that what they were trying to do is just trying to build this organization around themselves where they could have this certain level of power. But I realized that the true power is in the inclusive.
Right.
The true power is you and I going in and sitting down with a larger group of black men and women who have this like crazy knowledge about how to build communities, whether they're in our field or not.
Right.
Sitting down, talking about it, and developing. That's the power.
Exactly.
That exclusive stuff,
Exactly.
nothing, man. Nothing. And that's why I love my field, man. I love it.
Absolutely. Same here, man.
Man, that's great. That's great. So what's in the pipeline for you as far as like, you know what I'm saying? And also another thing you do, man, I want to talk about that, man. Get this out, that you're actually highlighting individuals that are doing amazing things, like as far as developing community pathways, to construction sites, things of that. What got you on that?
One, man, once again, it's all about the generation that's coming after us. I mean, we need to leave a legacy. And I feel that these kids, these youth, they need to see that there's people like myself, people like you. They need to see what it is that you're doing. So me, I'm using my platform or what have you, obviously taking advantage of social media and highlighting black men and black women, and even past that, minority men and minority women, not just African Americans that are making a difference and are making a positive contribution to the building and design industry. That's so very important. Once again, man, I mean, all of this for me, it's just follow up to, the things that have been going on in our country. It didn't just start with George Floyd. I mean, I want to make that clear. It did not just start with George Floyd.
That's true.
But, at the same time, I know the power that's within our profession and, the people and the lives that we're able to touch through design and through building. So, I just want to highlight these individuals and show others that could see them and say, man, if he could do that, if she could do that, I know that I can, because they look like me, they talk like me, they think like me, they act like me. We need to see more of that.
Yeah, you're right. What were the effects of George Floyd? You brought that up, that really kind of reshaped our world.
That's a heavy question. I would say that the truth has always been there. The truth of our struggle, the truth of the realities that come with our black existence. But I feel that episode, that occurrence of, seeing George Floyd pass in the manner of which he did, I feel that was such a hideous, it was just so grievously hideous that it was just a truth that was exposed to the entire world that can no longer be denied. That's how I feel.
Wow.
But it was always there.
That's deep, man. That's really deep. I had the same effect. I did a podcast with some of my, brothers that, we was just talking about this. And I was like, man, we need to get this on a tape or something. We need to record it. But yeah, man, it was hideous. But you know what? This is kind of where I was thinking of, that situation led a lot of endeavors on how we need to move forward as black people.
Exactly.
And, sometimes I think about things happen in life that are very unfortunate, but sometimes they have such a negative effect that they actually cause a huge or a bigger positive impact.
Right.
And for us, I think that because of George Floyd's situation, I've seen and heard more businesses being developed. I've seen more people being more open to a higher level of conscious, because it was so heinous.
Yeah.
You're right. It was so heinous, man. It was so ugly. But it was a transparent fact, you know, that's our reality in our world.
Even those words that you use, those are understatements.
Yeah.
You know, it was worse than heinous. It was worse than ugly.
Yeah.
I mean, there's not a word within my vocabulary that I could find to express just how egregious it was. But once again, I mean, I'm with everything you just said. I'm with everything you just said. I mean, we see a lot of the positives that have come from that.
Yeah. Yeah, we have. It's amazing. I hear people saying, you know, I don't want to sit down no more and be this person that just, and no disrespect to anyone, but just person that just prays without no impact. I want to pray and spray, the concept of doing something, you know, because I think that people come into even a realization that, you know, even though prayer is good, but if there is no action put behind it, then it's in vain. You know, it doesn't get people to the point where they really need to grow to see true growth.
Right. Now, faith without works is dead.
Yes, sir. Yes, sir. Yes, sir. So, yeah, it's one of those situations where we seen happen, and we could still talk about it, you know, 5-10 years later on. But I think that it's always good to try to find, and that's just part of me too. I always try to find the positive, the plus, the you know, you've taught that, or we've been taught that, or you learn that in every situation there is a lesson learned.
Right.
And you must learn that lesson, you know, within that situation. Because if not, then you got to redo that in order to learn. So, but yeah, man. So what I want to ask you, what cool things you got later on in the pipeline, man? Because you're a busy man.
I mean, the biggest thing that I'm working on right now is a construction camp. Recently here in Indiana, Governor Holcomb, he announced that the month of October would be Careers in Construction Month. So, you know, just want to extend, you know, what we've already been doing. And I decided, you know what, I know how it is that I was introduced to this industry. Yeah. And I want to, you know, use some of those same things and introduce children, young children to this industry. So, you know, I'm identifying ages 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, and 12 to just, you know, introduce, you know, the concept of tools to these children. Also, in, you know, teaching them about how to use tools, also giving them life lessons as well, to where they're able to associate a physical hand tool with tools that they can carry with them to apply in all the areas of their life, you know, as they go forward. I want to, you know, familiarize them with what it takes to build, and then begin to teach them even how to build different things, build structures, you know, how to use tools, how to hang drywall, how to paint. You know, just different things to where, you know, with a child, you don't know where their imagination will go. If you just give them something simple, they can take it and run from there, and they'll lap you.
That's true.
They'll lap you.
That's true.
So, you know, that's something that, you know, myself, you know, some of my network, we're working, you know, diligently on to where we can, you know, introduce children to construction.
Wow. Wow. I'm excited about that. I like I told you before, man, if I could be of any help, if I could do anything, let me know.
Absolutely.
Because I love our field so much.
Right.
I could talk about design, architecture,
Same
construction
here,
all day long, especially kids. And I think that this is something they need to hear about, you know. I think that our field is going to be the newest, coolest field. I have that good feeling about it. It's just that cool feel that everybody wants to do. Architecture is construction is gonna all be that. So, man, that's really dope to hear, man. Where can people tap in if they want to like either follow you or they want to, you know, help out with this construction project? How can people find you and tap in?
One, I mean, you can search me on LinkedIn for those who use LinkedIn. I'll be honest, that's my favorite form of social media. But no, LinkedIn, just Adrian Russell, Facebook, Adrian Russell. And then you can also, you know, follow me on Instagram at @RussellSpeaks.
Okay. Dope, man. Man, it was a pleasure having you on the pod, man.
No doubt.
I really am excited about the future things that, you know, you're doing and even ways that we can collab. And I look forward to even having you back on again. Like I feel like within a year's time, man, things are going to be so different.
Man,
we talked about it. I think when we were sitting down, how the compound effect, what we do today we don't even
Right.
know
Yeah.
what's gonna
Yeah,
you know
you're right.
be tomorrow, but
Yep.
it's gonna be huge, man.
Yep.
So look, man, thanks for stopping by. Thanks for
Thanks for
tapping
having me.
in. You have been tuning in to the podcast Just a Kid from Gary. It's your boy Josh. I'm out.
Thank you.